Welcome to today's video. In today's video, we'll talk about the things that you need to look for before you sign the job offer letter that is issued by the company or the labor contract that is issued by the Ministry of Human Resource and Emiratization. Now you've been attending numerous interviews and finally you receive that golden call from the recruiter informing you that your job application has been successful and they would like to proceed with the issuance of the job offer letter. Before you append any signature, please make sure that you check if that employment contract is valid. This is by determining if it aligns to the rules and regulations that are stipulated under UAE Labor Law Article 33/2022 that talks about the regulations of the employment contract. And so these are some of the clauses that you need to check out and see if or determine if that employment contract is valid. Number one, you need to identify the sponsor details. Who is the sponsor? Their full name and their nationality should be clearly stipulated. And this usually is the company owner. Number two, the employee details. What are your full names, your nationality, and your passport number? This should be clearly mentioned and it should be aligned to the details that you have mentioned in the passport, in your original passport. Number three, what is the job title or the designation? In every company, they will assign you a particular role, and this role is usually as per the agreement that you and the recruiter had during the interview process. And so make sure that your job title is aligned to what you discussed and agreed with the recruiter. Also, once you join the company, it is also important because the HR will issue you with a job description that matches the job title that is mentioned in your employment contract. Number four, the probation period. What is the probation period that the company has mentioned? It can be 3 months, can be 6 months, but it should not be more than 6 months. This is as per the UAE labor law. After the probation period, the HR needs to issue you with a confirmation letter that stating that they have confirmed your employment with the company. Number five, and this is very important, is the salary details. And so here I'll talk about the different payroll components that you need to look out for. Number one is the basic salary. Number two is the housing. Is the company giving you accommodation or is providing a house rent allowance? Number three, transportation. Is the company offering you a transportation allowance, or is it providing you with a company car or pick up and drop from your residence? This should be clearly stipulated in your employment contract. Number four, is there any other allowance that the company is offering you? In some companies, they offer different kinds of allowance depending on the staff needs, like food allowance, cost of living allowance, or any other allowance. So whatever it is that you have agreed with the recruiter, let it be mentioned in the employment contract. And finally, whatever amount that has been mentioned in the four payroll components, please make sure that your gross amount is tallies with what has been mentioned. It should not have any error. Number five, number six, sorry, what is the termination clause? That here we are talking about the notice period. In any employment contract, it should offer an exit clause. Here I'm talking about, should you decide to resign because of one reason or another, what is the notice period that you need to give to the employer? Or should the employer decide to terminate your employment contract, what is the notice period that should they give you in terms of notice pay in lieu of your notice? This is very important. As per the UAE labor law, the notice period should be 1 month. However, if you have agreed with your employer to have maybe 2 months, 3 months, whatever you have agreed, then you need to give your employer the same notice that you have agreed. Because as per the UA labor law, if you have agreed 3 months and you are giving the employer 1 month, they will still ask you to give the employer the 3 months. So when you are negotiating with the employer, just be very careful and understand that whatever notice period you agree, then you have to adhere to it. Number seven, the effective date of that employment contract. Please check if that employment contract has mentioned the date when that contract will come into effect. This is very important. Number eight, is there a non-compete clause that has been mentioned by the employer? Usually, this clause comes into effect after the employment contract is terminated, either through employee resignation or the employer terminating that contract. Whichever way, this clause should not exceed 2 years. It can be 1 year, can be 6 months, but it should not be more than 2 years. This clause gives the employer the right to protect their business interests in case the employee exits the company, because it restricts the employee from sharing confidential information like trade secret formula if it's a manufacturing company, or client details, or any other information that is confidential. And finally, number nine, you should check if that employment contract has been signed by the company owner or the sponsor. This is very important because he needs to sign and it needs to have a company seal. Then you as an employee should also have an opportunity to append your signature in that same contract. So make sure your full name is clearly mentioned and append your signature. And once you append your signature, please write the date when you have signed that employment agreement. This is very important. For the labor contract, you will only sign as an employee, but do not put the date, because the labor contract and regulations, you cannot put that date again. It's already mentioned in top of that labor contract. Finally, once you append your signature, please make sure you ask the HR to give you a copy of that employment agreement for your future records. And they should also have a copy that they need to keep in your personnel file. So that's all for now. I thought it is important for us to understand what a valid contract should entail. And if you have any question regarding this topic, you are welcome to send in your questions